ain't got no battery in it. Good morning. Mike here from Mike's Projects and Hobbies. So, got what looks like 1,880 miles on the GS. By the time I get home tonight, that'll be 2,000 miles. Thought I'd just do a little quick review on my thoughts after 2,000 miles. And 2,000 miles, you kind of get a pretty good handle on how the bike handles, how it feels, its quirks, whatever. So far, perfect bike. It literally sits at the top of all bikes I've ever owned, and could possibly be the best bike I've ever owned. The only thing I dislike, and it's not the bike, are these Metzler Karoo 3 tires. They work pretty good. Actually, you know what? I don't even know how they work in the dirt. I've had the bike on gravel roads and sandy asphalt and some dirt roads, and they work okay. And with the aggressive tread pattern, I'm sure they work really good off-road as well. Like if you were to do, like, you know, little hardcore double tracks, things like that. But on the street, and obviously they probably weren't designed to be, you know, the greatest street tire, but of all the mixed use tires I've ever had on any bike, these things are horrible. One, they're extremely noisy. There's no reason for that. I don't get it. But you know, that's the thing with dual purpose tires, I guess. If you got 50-50 tires or greater off-road, it's possible they're going to be noisy. The only other tire I've ever had on a bike that was noisier was the Motaz Tractionator Desert, and that tire was so loud I took it off after one ride to work. It literally was, it gave me a headache, it was so loud. Pretty crazy. Yep, earplugs might have helped, but I don't know. It was so loud that I don't even know that that would have helped. But anyway, back to these Motaz. They, what I don't like about them, the noise, you know, you can deal with, right? Earplugs, blah, blah, blah. Turn up the music. The thing I don't like about them is they hunt on grooved or imperfect asphalt. They hunt really, really bad. Maybe, I don't know, I think the stabilization on the GoPros probably cancels it out as far as being able to see it in the video, but when we get up here to the Ortega Highway, where it's been under construction for a while, if we're still filming, you'll see where the front end will literally shift back and forth left, right, as it goes from the different unevenness of the asphalt, and the rear end is worse. I mean, it's so bad that sometimes it feels like the rear end's going to wash out on you. It swings around that much. And yeah, I expect a knobby tire to do that a little bit, but I have Motaz EO7 Dakars on one of my bikes. They don't do that. Heck, I even have the big block Shinkos on another one of my bikes. They don't do that. And not only that, those tires are super quiet and are probably the best dirt tires I've ever had on the street. Pretty amazing tires. But yeah, these Metzler Karoo 3s, not very confidence inspiring on uneven or grooved pavement. In fact, they're horrible. I'm just going to wear them out and replace them. The good news is, here at almost 1,900 miles, the backs are probably 3/4 done. They are super soft, super gummy, and you could go through a set of these in 3,000 miles if you tried. Easy. Front tire's wearing fine, back tire's about toast. And I don't ride that aggressive. So there's that. She popped up a little sooner than I thought she would there. Whoa. Another thing I wanted to touch on was on various groups and forums and even on YouTube, I hear people say, you know, if you don't use the BMW phone cradle, you won't have any control over your phone with the little wheel. Well, that's not true at all. I don't know why that rumor's out there, unless other countries have different software revisions on their bikes and it just doesn't work. I don't know. So this is the wiring harness for a Garmin Zumo XT. I took the BMW off, the BMW harness off, which has 3 wires, right? It has a positive and a negative and a serial wire, which allows you to control the GPS with your Wizzy wheel. Since the Garmin Zumo doesn't have that ability, what are you doing? It only has 2 wires in the harness, and so I tapped into the factory BMW down below the connector. I bought the it's called a repair kit, and it's basically the end that plugs in with 3 wires coming out, and you solder whatever it is you need to solder to that repair kit to power with what would normally power the GPS cradle. So now I have power for my Garmin Zumo. It's controlled by the power button. I think there's a 10-second delay after the power button goes off. It finally kills the power to the GPS and it shuts off. So what I'm getting to is there's no 3-wire controller here. What I have here would be no different than you just completely taking it off and, you know, chucking it, since if you don't have a GPS. And let's say you wanted to take your phone and mount it up here. There's a couple different companies, and I'll put links in the description, that will allow you to connect like a quad lock to this 12mm rod here. Rod, pipe, brace, whatever you want to call it. And you can put your phone up here, you know, this way. And for those of you that like to use your phone for nav, I have a dedicated Garmin Zumo, and I'm going to leave it that way. During my commute, sometimes I'll pop nav on the phone just to get an idea of what's going on with traffic, because, you know, Southern California. So anyway, with the rumor is that if you remove the 3-wire harness, you lose control with your Wizzy wheel. I'm like, I don't even know, how is that? What's that based on? Because the control of the phone can be done Bluetooth with the app. So I followed the instructions, BMW's instructions in the manual, and BMW actually has some YouTube videos on how to pair your headphone and your phone to the BMW. And if you look down here in the lower left corner, you can see the battery and my helmet and the phone. So you get the status of those devices once they're paired. And you can see I have a crappy signal. One of the reasons I don't use my phone that much for navigation is, believe it or not, some of the places I ride in Southern California, there is no cell signal. Or if there is a signal, there's no data signal. And the GPS, it will work, but you know, your topographical features, you have offline maps, I guess. But anyway, I like my GPS. It does what I want it to do. I can set up tracks on the PC, load them to my account. They pop up automatically on my GPS. I'm good to go. But anyway, back to controlling the phone with the Wizzy wheel. It's Bluetooth, and the app is on here. I don't have it running, so I don't know what will happen when I select nav, but let's go down to the menu here, go across. First, let's go with media. You can see here, the Cars is playing right now, moving in stereo. I mean, I have options to fast forward that. I don't have the option to turn up the volume, and I think that's because my Sena S3 helmet intercom doesn't have that capability via Bluetooth. So yeah, everything about the bike has been amazing. I like it. I don't really have any cons. I guess the switch gear, now that I've gotten used to it, at first I hated the turn signal switch gear. It just doesn't have any feedback whatsoever about what's going on. And I still don't like it. I think you know, you pay this much money for a premium motorcycle. I don't know, I think the switches should feel a little better than they do. And that's another thing, you know, $24,000, $23,000, $28,000 BMW GS motorcycle doesn't have backlit switches. I mean, come on now. There's not a lot of bikes that do have backlit switches, but when you start spending that kind of money, it really should be a thing that's there, in my opinion. And yeah, it freaking holds, but for a dirt bike. The ride modes, I've had a chance to play with a little bit. I haven't actually gone into the dynamic or enduro pro modes. Pro, you know, standing for programmable, not professional. I guess you could use either word. But right now I think the 5 options I have on here, and I need to change them. We'll talk about eco mode here in a second. Since I commute on the bike, I have a lot of time to play with different modes and different settings, and you know, squeezing out as much miles per gallon as possible if that's the requirement for the day. I think I have eco, rain, road, enduro. What can you have, 4 or 5? I don't know. A little bit about eco. I tried it for 2 round trips to work. It's a lot like eco in my car. I have a BMW X4, M340, sorry. It seems to cut, I don't know, 60% of your power, and it makes the throttle feel like the power is going through a silly straw. And after driving conservatively and using Eco Pro back and forth to work, that's 240 miles twice. Well, 120 each time, so yeah, 240 total. I got less gas mileage than I did if I would just leave it in road mode and ride. Kind of weird, but yeah. So you can ride around in eco mode and you know, not have any power at all and have really sluggish throttle and get what you get for mileage, or put it in any other mode and get the same or better mileage. Of course, unless you romp on it. Obviously, this bike is a gas hog if you ride it hard and or ride it above 65 miles an hour continuous on the freeway. So yeah, eco mode I'll be deleting. It's practically a useless mode. I'm not even sure why it's there. It doesn't gain you anything, in my opinion. Again, my opinion. I don't know the system 1000% inside and out, but just based on 240 miles of use, I don't know what it's for. And just like on my car, I don't know what it's for. But anyway, so that's the modes. Right next to the mode button, there is the heated handle grip button, and you can see right there it's on setting 2, setting 1, and off. The button's over here on my right. The indicator's down there on the bottom left, or bottom middle. Those work pretty darn good and are obviously built for much colder climates than California. The few days I had to ride to work in the 30s, one was almost too hot, but it sure felt nice. I kind of like the multi-level adjustments on the Africa Twin heated handlebars better. It went 1 through 5, I believe. It would be nice if you could adjust one of these, like if the one, like setting 1 was programmable and I could turn it up or down. But it is what it is. It's either on or off for me, I guess. Right now it's on and they're already warm. So you saw me flip the button there. That's how long it takes. Okay, so we're on the uneven pavement. This pavement's grooved because they're going to repave it. And I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but she's wallowing all over the place like a giant whale. I mean, like it does this. Here, I'll exaggerate it. It does that on its own and hops over to the left, to the right, about an inch at a time, it feels like. It just did it there, because I'm going over those two grooves you can see in the road. Okay, it's doing it a lot right now. You see that? Pretty goofy. So that's 100% the tires, I'm sure. No other tires I own on any other bikes I own will do that. Something about the design of the tire. It could be the sidewall grooves are just too close together and lined up. I noticed on the Karoo 4s, they shifted the outside tread blocks to eliminate that. So it's obviously a problem, and they discontinued this tire, which brings up another point. Why did you put discontinued tires on a premium bike, BMW?